So I'm just going to do a very impromptu video here, guys, where I want to give you some of the things you can do to make sure you're getting the most out of your training. You know, it's very true what they say, the way you train is the way you play. Now, there are a few other factors in there, of course, like you have to have confidence, you have to be able to take what you're doing into your training, into your games. But ultimately, it usually rings true that the better you train, the more hooked in you are when you're training, the better you're going to be in match situations because you're training your muscle memory, you're training your reflexes, you're training that ability to be able to do things on instinct in training that then comes into the matches. Because when you're in matches, you can't be thinking about every little thing. You'll have moments where you can maybe strategize a little bit and think a little bit, but ultimately you need to have so much wired in, hardwired in essentially, and that comes from training. And so I'm just going to give you a few, just kind of off the top of my head, tips that are going to help you to train better. Now, first and foremost, you need to have a training plan. I know I go over this all of the time, but if you're just going to the field and winging it, you might get little results because by doing something, it's better than doing nothing. Absolutely. I'd rather a player go to the field 3 times a week and wing it than go not at all. But you are nowhere near utilizing your time as much as you could. You're nowhere near optimizing your training anywhere near what you could. You would be getting 5 times, 10 times as much results if you actually had a training plan. If you actually had a system that you're following and then you're doing your best to follow it. Now, again, this training plan can be one of many different things. You can get a paid program. For example, I offer training courses. There are other people who offer training courses that will give you the plan and essentially you just follow it. That's probably the easiest way to do it if you can invest. If not, you need to know what exactly it is you're trying to accomplish with your training and create your own. Now, for everyone, that can be a bit difficult, which is why you can get a paid one. You can pay a coach to create one for you that's specific to your game, for example, which would ultimately be the best way to go. Getting a tailor-made training system, working one-on-one with a coach in person especially, is going to be one of the best ways to go. You'll improve so long as that coach is competent, and there's plenty of them out there. You will improve by doing that. But by going to the pitch and winging it, you're just not going to get the results you're looking for if you're trying to improve as a player. Now, again, if you're not doing anything, well, you can't really sit there and expect to get too many results. If you're only doing team training, again, unless your team trains every single day or, like 4 or 5 times a week, you're not going to get as much out of it. You're going to need to add in some individual training. So the first one is to make sure you have some kind of system. That's just going to set yourself up to win. And this system can evolve over time. It's not that you're going to have the same system. You might, again, with certain drills, like I like to always say, the simple drills work. So there are different variations of those simple drills. You can do them more intensely. You can do more sets, more reps. There are different ways to do them. But ultimately, that's what's going to help in these areas. You don't need to go too complex, but your training can evolve over time based on your needs. For example, you might need more fitness drills within what you're doing with the ball, and there are many drills that work with the ball and fitness. You might need to do more isolated fitness drills if that's something you're struggling with. But when you get that to a point where you're really comfortable with your fitness and you're really fit, you might switch to doing way more ball work or doing something completely different. Maybe you want to focus on a very particular area that you think is going to help you in your position. You might bring more of that in and it will have to replace something, or something will have to take less time in your training, for example. So there are many different things you can do, but you need something that is going to help your game specifically. Again, if you're looking for a specific area, plenty of training programs that will work on your skills. Like I have Ultimate Soccer Skills. Plenty of programs that will work on ball mastery. Plenty of programs that will be all-encompassing. They'll have everything you need, essentially, from working on all the fundamentals to fitness and all different things. All of those are out there, and so that's the easiest thing to do if that's what you want to do. But again, you need to have something. Next, it's not just about having the system, it's also the way in which you train, like we already went over. If you have a system even, and let's say you have the best system in the world, let's say Lionel Messi decided to make you a system for some reason. He's like, you know what, person, here is my tailor-made system for you. I've watched your game, here it is. Well, it's still not going to matter if you're training in a particular way, if you're half-assing it. And a lot of players tend to do this. Again, a lot of players might just go through the motions when they're training. And this isn't going to give you the results that you want. Again, you play the way you train. And so if you're going through the motions in training, you're inevitably going to go through the motions most likely when you're playing in matches. And so you need to make sure, even if you have that system, it's not enough to have the system. The system's not a magical thing. The system is just to help you to get to where you want to go, but it requires you to step up to the plate and actually do it to the best of your ability. If you have a proven system, something that you can basically plug and play, or you've created your own, or you're working with a coach or whatever, and you're doing what's in that system to the best of your ability every single time you're at the pitch, then you will see really good results. It really is that simple. Now, what does the best of your ability mean? Let me be very clear on that. It just means do your best. Now, there'll be some days where you're tired, and your best is going to be less than on days when you're rested. It doesn't matter. It's still your best on that given day. So don't think like, oh, I didn't do as well today as I did on Tuesday, for example. Well, maybe on Tuesday, you were just in a much better place and you were well rested, so you had more energy, you were able to do the drills quicker, your legs weren't as heavy, you didn't have as much lactic acid going on, so you were able to do everything great. That's fine. And then maybe you have another session on Wednesday or Thursday and your legs are still a little heavy, you're a little tired, whatever else it is, and your training session doesn't go as well. It doesn't matter. Just do your best each time based on where you are right now. So maybe a little bit tired, maybe completely energized, maybe, even maybe there might be some mental thing going on. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, as long as you're showing up and doing your best and you have that system you're working with, you're going to get results. So speaking of that, I also want to talk just quickly about rest and recovery, because it's another really just often overlooked thing. Rest and recovery is as important as the actual training. Now, obviously, you have to be training. You can't just be, oh, I'm resting all the time. I'm recovering 24/7. Obviously, it's a balance. But burning yourself out and wearing your body down, obviously, is not beneficial to you, because you will become injured. If you're going into your matches, 60-70% because you're overtraining, well, the whole point of training is to play well in matches. So then it's kind of neutralizing the whole point of you putting in all that work only to show up on match day tired or injury prone or whatever else it is. So make sure you are listening to your body, which is going to be different for every single player, by the way. Now, there are going to be certain generalized things you can do, certain recovery methods you can do. There are going to be certain things that are similar for many different players, but you have to learn your body. Now, again, that will change as you get fitter or you get stronger or you start getting better, but you will start to get a feel for how your body is, when it's tired and it needs a rest, and when it's a little sore, but you can still keep going and you don't need to have a lighter session or whatever else it is. So this is something you just want to start thinking about if you don't know what that is for you now. But understand, rest and recovery might be, not the glamorous part of the training or the game, but it is equally as important. Getting enough sleep. Getting enough sleep is one of the biggest things that you can do. Ultimately, you could be doing nutrition right. You could be doing, consistent training. If you're not getting enough rest, this is your chance for your body to recover, to build muscle, to repair, to give you the energy needed for the next training session or whatever else it is. And so I would say if you're not getting 8 hours as a footballer, as an athlete, especially if you're consistent and really doing this stuff often, if you're not getting at least 8 hours of sleep, that's something you need to look at, and it will be reflected in your training. If you're getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you're doing yourself a disservice. The rest, the sleep, the recovery is equally as important when it comes to your training. The nutrition is important too. Again, don't go out to the field, do all this training, and then be eating McDonald's all the time, because then it's just going to make it so you're not getting as much benefit from that. So you really have to bring all of these things together. But that is just some tips on how to get the most out of your training. I just wanted to kind of really give you some information there that you can hopefully apply. And if you're not doing any of these things, it's absolutely okay. Just start taking the steps you need to take in order to allow these things to happen more consistently in your training. For example, if you need a system, buy one or create one, right? If you are not getting enough sleep, I think that's a big one for a lot of players. Find a way to get enough sleep. There are many different things you can try and do. If you're on your phone, for example, at 10 p.m., maybe stop doing that. Turn off electronics as the sun starts to go down. Start learning about your circadian rhythm. Start learning about how to sleep better, because it can be one of the most important things you do as an athlete. Again, you'll prevent so many injuries. You'll be able to recover, even build muscle, all these different things more effectively if you're getting enough sleep. So make sure you're paying attention to that. When you're in your training sessions, do you have a tendency to switch off? Do you have a tendency to go through the motions? Now, if you have a habit of doing that, you're going to have to continually bring your awareness to that and then actively work to reverse that. But again, you're just not going to get as much out of your training if you're not showing up and doing your best. And remember what the definition of that is. And so these are just some things, guys. They're very simple, but they will help optimize your training. And by doing these things, you will start to notice better results over time. It's really about doing the simple things well and consistently that's going to give you the results. There's no super complex thing here. Have a proven system, not complex. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and the right nutrition, and you're doing the rest in recovery. Just as important, but also incredibly simple. What else did I say? Make sure you're hooking into flow and you're not going through the motions when you're actually training. Super simple, not complex, but when you combine all of these things, when you have these good habits, when you're doing the recovery, when you're doing consistent training to the best of your ability, listening to your body, getting the rest you need, really hooking into your sessions, this will add up over time and you will start getting better results. Anyway, I'm going to leave you just with that. Please apply these things if you want the results that these things will give you. It's really that simple. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I know this is a more lower production video of just me speaking to you, but hopefully it has provided you with something to think about and some value. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.